This episode of the podcast is brought to you by the Rock City Cannabis Carnival Winter Edition, hosted by #Hydro Inc. On Saturday, December 18th, join us at the Main Street Armory in Rochester, New York for what is surely to be the cannabis event of the year. With over 90 vendors showcasing the best flower, edibles, concentrates, infused foods and drinks, clothing designs, jewelry, CBD, and more, this event should definitely land high on your priority list. And it wouldn't be a carnival without live DJs, a THC-infused drink bar, stilt walkers, aerialists, carnival games, and so much more. This is a 21-plus event, and tickets are on sale now at etix.com and through mainstreetarmory.com, which you can access in the show notes. So whether you're a joker, a smoker, or a midnight toker, come check out the Rock City Cannabis Carnival Winter Edition on December 18th for what is sure to be the most epic cannabis event that New York State has ever seen.
The views and opinions expressed on this show belong solely to the hosts and their guests and do not reflect the views of any outside institutions unless explicitly stated.
What's up, everyone? My name is Steve Vanderwall, and I'm the host of Cannabis Cum Laude, a podcast devoted entirely to cannabis. This podcast will cover a full spectrum of topics, including cultivation, business, medicine, politics, culture, advocacy, and everything in between. Because let's face it, the cannabis industry is very complicated. It's robust, and it has a ton of moving parts. So it's going to be my job to help you understand it a little bit better. So tune in every week for a brand new episode. And if you enjoy this podcast, please subscribe, rate, and review the show. And if you really, really, really like the show and are interested in sponsoring, please shoot me an email at logistics@cannabiscumlaude.com. Now enjoy the show. On everybody, welcome back to another episode of Cannabis Cum Laude. I'm very excited for this conversation today. But before we get into the conversation, I want to make a very special announcement. Last week's episode was with my good friend, that hydro girl, Jackie Bonfiglio, and she liked it so much that she's going to be our new co-host. So welcome.
Thank you. Well, I don't know if I liked it so much as we just vibed so well, and it was just so awesome. I left and I was like, damn, that was already an hour. Like, we could have just kept going.
We could have kept going.
It was. I'm so excited.
Fitz will let us do a 3-hour one time like Rogan, huh?
He's like, no, I'm not going to stay here for that.
You'll be smoky in here.
Well, thank you. I am. I'm very excited. I think it's going to be a awesome future for us, and we got a lot of exciting things coming up.
Absolutely. A lot of exciting things. I'm very excited. But without further ado, I want to introduce our guest today. His name is JJ Christopher. And if you are in the local cannabis industry in Western New York, you have definitely heard of High Minded Collective. They are one of my personal favorite brands. I know that we share a lot of similar values in the context of craft cannabis and just always taking a high quality, patient and customer centered focus to cannabis. He's one of the good ones. JJ Christopher, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure.
Heard it took a little bit to get you here.
It definitely did.
Little Mike shy.
Yeah, a little bit. I'm always very busy too, but I love to help support local people like this, and it's for a good cause. Everything here is it's really awesome. Like I love talking with the community, just keeping in touch with people like that. It's just so crucial for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. I was like, we had talked about how every week we're going to get in touch, or we're going to do an episode with one of, a vendor or one of the local Rochester, Western New York businesses or brands leading up to the carnival. And I started putting my list together, and High Minded Collective was obviously the top of my list.
Appreciate that.
I seriously love it. I love what you're doing. I have a lot of respect for you.
Thank you.
Your products are banging. But I'm dying to know, before we jump into High Minded Collective, what's your origin story? How did you wind up into this crazy cannabis industry that we all love?
It is very, very, very crazy. So back in about, I want to say 2017, I was introduced to the whole organic way of growing. And I never really knew how amazing it could change, like how much it could change the plant, So I was just used to smoking. Like, I didn't really care what was in it, And then me and my buddies, we went out to Michigan, and I was introduced to one of my good friends now, and he showed me how when you grow organic, you can really boost up the flavor and the quality of everything, and you know that it's all clean too. Yep. Which was just amazing to me because taking that first hit was like nothing. Normally I'm like coughing. I suffer from really bad asthma and stuff like that. So when I tried something like that actually didn't trigger my asthma and didn't have me coughing, I was like, all right, I need to get onto this. And after that, I was hooked. I was like, all right, I know I love this plant. I kind of just want to make a go of it. I was like, I'm going to really go all in. And then once I found out the way that I wanted to grow, and I basically just did research for about, I want to say 3 years until I actually took a stab at it.
Damn.
Because I was researching
Most people
before.
learn as they go, kind of thing. You kind of took a whole different approach.
Yeah, normally when I'm talking to people, they're like asking me how to do it step by step. No, I kind of went all in online and talked with growers out in Michigan to kind of find what I wanted to do, because I know everyone has their own way of growing. Even when you try to tell someone how to do something, they'll go off and do their own thing.
Way.
Typically.
You just didn't tell them what they wanted to hear.
No. But like I was saying, I was introduced back in 2017 to the organic cannabis, and it was amazing because I started to notice the other growing styles, which aren't bad at all. If it's done right, it is amazing. It can be just as good. But the problem is a lot of people don't know how to flush those actual nutrients out of the plant correctly. So you end up smoking that in the end product.
And it's harsh. Like
it can be very harsh on your lungs, trigger asthma. There's a number of things that it can mess with. Not just the flavor and the smoke, but a lot of people have been growing for bag appeal and yield, which is not my style. My favorite strain is Skittles, which is a strain that is very, very, very difficult to grow, and it looks kind of bad. Like, it doesn't look very good. It yields low, but the terpenes and the smoke are off the charts. I'll smoke that strain for the rest of my life, no problem. Everybody knows that.
You would die for that.
I'll die for Skittles.
I think you would.
Yes, but once I figured out what I wanted to do, and I just went head first. I was like, okay, I want to do that kind of living soil, because I don't want to keep having to reuse, or not reuse. I don't want to keep buying soil, buying bottled nutrients all the time, which again isn't a bad thing. But I wanted to be more eco-friendly and self-sustaining, so I started doing my own organic super soil, and that's when I really kind of got the love for the plant, because I got to figure out how exactly it grows and what it needs throughout the growth cycle. So I did start on bottled organic fed nutrients because, obviously you're not going to dive right into super soil. It's pretty difficult. You gotta have everything put together. But I started on general organics, and it worked great. I started with Thug Pug genetics and a couple other different breeders, and I knocked it right out of the park on the first try, and I was surprised. I brought it to the High Times Cannabis Cup in Clio, Michigan, 2018, and I'm showing it to my buddy Phantom, who actually taught me a lot of what I know today and really pushed me to do what I want to do. And he's looking at it and he goes, "Geez, Jay," he's like, "you didn't enter this to the cup?" And I'm like, "Dude, this is my first grow." And he was like, "Dude, you would have at least placed for best indica." And I'm like, wow, like that's big coming from someone like that for sure. So I knew I was like, all right, I'm onto something. I really a lot of my friends when I was growing up, they suffer from different things like cancer, addiction, all kinds of stuff, And myself, I had a problem with my stomach from being like on all these prescriptions as a child going through school, like Adderall, they had me on stuff like that, and I really didn't like it. It messed up my stomach. But cannabis was a really, really nice alternative that helped me get through school and get through my anxiety and push myself to do the things that I wanted to do, which was, it was amazing. It's really, really nice to have that alternative that most people don't really know about,
I think that's what people were trying to do, is break the stigma that, like we talked about in the last episode, it's very fun to smoke. You have a great time, but the medical, effects are huge for it. I know you've helped JJ also works at our hydro store, and he's made sure that we've gone. I mean, the amount of organic products we carry now is
we need more.
Every time he comes in, it's like this and this, and I'm like, JJ, okay, I'll do it. I promise. But it's crazy because the market is out there for it, and people do want to switch. But I know you've helped a number of our customers with so many different medical issues that it's unbelievable. We have a family who's, their daughter's paralyzed, and JJ has worked with them and created things for them, and that's huge. Like, that's what people don't see, is that this can just change people's lives. And you're really doing that. Like, I don't think you understand. Like, it's incredible. Like, you as a person are doing that. That's amazing.
That was really my dream. That's what I set out to do when I started High Minded. So I wanted to give everyone that chance to get that clean cannabis. I wanted everyone to have access to it, because most people don't know what's going into their flower, or what's going into their actual joint. So I wanted to have that available to everybody that wanted it. And it's kind of hard because most organic is small batch. 99% of it is small batch, and a lot of the growers that do it would like to keep it for themselves, and I totally understand that, and the yields are extremely low as compared to, a hydroponic grow where you could fill a room and easily, pull a couple pounds out of it, as opposed to organics where it's going to have to be all hand-fed typically, because those nutrients are a lot heavier than your average hydroponic nutrient, because they're made to go through the lines in the...
So it's the plant's basically producing what it normally would.
Exactly, what it would find in nature.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the whole idea with the no-till organic growing, is you want to create a kind of an ecosystem in your soil pot. Mm-hmm. So what I do is I'll start with, a regular soil base like Roots Organics, add compost, worm castings, some down-to-earth products in there as well. And then I also like to add like lava rocks, or like just large rocks that will capture moisture and distribute it evenly throughout the soil bed. And then I like to add worms as well, like actual live worms, red wigglers and stuff like that. And it kind of creates this everything kind of builds off itself. All the bacteria is eating each other, making it available for the plant. And it's pretty cool to see it all happen. Like you get a handful of soil and you got all these like microorganisms, worms, bugs in your hands. And it's cool to see, instead of just like a block or a pot of cocoa, not to, diminish that growing style or anything. It's a great way to do it. Just got to know how to do it right, Organic's a little bit more forgiving.
A few years ago, I read a book by Jeff Lowenfels called Teaming with Microbes. He has like the whole Teaming with Microbes, Nutrients, Fungi series. And that's when I really started to learn about soil health and like the microbiome and the ecosystem below this. And it's like all these different, nematodes and pods and all these different things. And it's like when you feed that soil and you replenish it and take care of it. I mean, you see some of these growers out west where they have trees. They're growing in these big living soil beds. It's like you can't, I'm an indoor hydro grower, and it's like it's fun and it's super impressive. But, some of the yields and some of those plants that they get, in those living soil beds, I've never seen anything like it. It's really cool.
You can get huge ones, especially when you're doing the beds like 200-300 gallon beds.
That's huge.
You could grow a monster tree, but it's a lot to manage. You got to keep up on everything on the plant. It's really, really easy to get, powdery mildew or any kind of like pest like that, because it's easy to miss it. You have this huge tree and you got to check every single branch out. Yeah. It's not the easiest thing in the world, for sure. I do kind of like to stay on the smaller scale size as far as pot wise. Yeah. That way I can kind of control everything. I know which one, if something's messed up, I can pull it out, which is really, really nice to have, for sure. But again, getting back to what you guys were saying about the patients and stuff, the whole reason I have been doing this is because I want to create kind of like a customer base, not really a customer base, but like a patient base, where everybody has access to this, and not just access to clean cannabis, but strains that work for them. Because that was a big thing for me, because not every strain works for me. Typically, sativas don't work very well because I'm very prone to anxiety.
That's my sister.
Yes.
My sister was dead set against smoking weed
and
forever.
That's a lot of people.
Until Rob, tried a couple things, and we found one that she can handle. And same thing. It's just, it's different for everybody. Depression, anxiety.
Exactly.
It's just, and that's nice. So are you going to expand the different strains you have?
So that's basically what I've been trying to do over the years. I've been working with different people and finding kind of which strain it's usually a couple strains that work for them, like typically one's for days and one's for nights. But I've been trying to find strains that work specifically for the patients that I work with, because I kind of found that out back when I was in Michigan. I found out that you can have strains that are clean and everything, but they may not work for you. Like they may cause your anxiety or cause something else. So one strain that really worked for me was Thin Mint Girl Scout cookies. I know that one just I fell in love with the flavor, and it had really, really good anxiety relief, and it was really good for my appetite, which I love strains that are really good for my appetite. Because I don't know if a lot of people don't know this, but some strains can just knock out your appetite totally.
Yeah.
Like you could be hungry and then you go and smoke and then you're totally not. Which it's totally opposite of what the
Everybody
rumors
thinks,
are. Yeah.
Again, that's what my sister used to joke about. She goes, "How are you not like 4,000 pounds with how much weed you smoke?" And I'm like, "You don't.
It's
you don't
kind
get
of
the
a myth.
You don't get the munchies like that." I'm like,
No.
you really don't. I mean,
It's kind of rare almost.
yeah, which
but-
is sad.
It is.
I do appreciate once in a while when I get a good munchie strain. I'll take down like a whole can of Pringles or
you
something.
You notice it,
Shouldn't have done that.
If you see Rob with Milano cookies, you know it's a really good batch. A bag of them, man. He'll just crush those,
Yeah.
I swear.
Yeah, but I have been trying to find different strains that will cater to different people's symptoms or needs. So, for example, the family that I help out that their daughter has paralysis, I will find. Typically, I use this strain called Puda Breath. It's a cross of Wedding Cake and Mendo Breath F2 by Thug Pug Genetics, and it's very, very good for anti-inflammatory, anti-anxiety, anti-depression, lack of appetite. It's honestly one of my all-around favorite for medical use. And I extract with that. I do coconut oil extractions, and then I also do RSO extractions, which I think are crucial and need to be done more in our industry.
Very tough, though,
Yeah.
too. That's the thing. It's
They're difficult.
intricate.
Yeah, it took me a while to kind of master it, and it's dedication for sure. It takes a long time. But in the end, it is worth it. That's true medicine because you're getting the full spectrum, as opposed to most of these edibles today are made with distillate and stuff like that, which isn't bad. Distillate's great for edibles, but it's just THC and CBD typically. You want that full spectrum of cannabinoids because a lot of people just look at THC when they're looking to smoke, but it's not just THC. There are so many other cannabinoids that affect your brain. That not only cannabinoids, terpenes, flavonoids. There's so much that really help you. Like for example, Skittles is really high in flavonoids, and that's why you kind of get that almost euphoric feeling when you smoke it because it tastes so good that you're like, oh my god, like it's.
It is one of the great. I know. You introduced it to us, and I was like, "Damn, JJ."
I'm just happy I have access to it because that one is one of the more rare ones for sure.
Yeah, but you become a snob after.
I know.
Okay,
Yeah,
because it's all you
a
want to
little
smoke.
bad.
You're
Yeah.
like, I gotta go after this.
Yeah. Talk to me a little about the RSO process.
Yes.
It is complicated. I've never personally made it, but what is it like to make that?
So RSO, there are a few different ways to make it. So traditionally speaking, people usually do it with a glass mason jar. You put your material in there. You pour Everclear alcohol. You want to do 190 proof, and you usually fill up that jar, and then cap it off. Put it in a freezer it takes about 2 to 3 weeks, depending on how strong you want your tincture to be. Because you start out by making a tincture, Everclear extraction, and then after that, after about 2 weeks, you take it out once a day, shake the hell out of it, and all that medicine kind of bleeds out. It's a cold water extraction. Well, technically not water,
Cold alcohol.
Cold alcohol extraction. And then after about 2 weeks, give or take, that alcohol is like black almost. It's very, very dark in color because all of the cannabinoids have bled out into it. So I usually take a 160 micron bag, or you could use a cheesecloth, anything to catch the material and let the alcohol and the cannabinoids fall through. So I'll strain it out, and then after that, you have to get a hot plate and reduce it. So it's a process, you know. Not only it takes 2 to 3 weeks, you have to reduce it on a hot plate. You can't use flame. I've made that mistake before.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I'm sure you have to. If you're using a hot plate, it's gotta be the right temperature.
Yes,
You
so
probably
it
gotta
has
stir
to-
it. Can't let it stick.
Exactly. So I'll use a saucepan on a hot plate, and I'll have one of those silicone things, and you just kind of stir it. And it takes about 3 hours, give or take. How much tincture you're using is dependent, but it'll take about 3 hours, give or take. And I'll usually just get plastic 10 milliliter syringes, and then that's where the RSO goes, because it goes from this liquid alcohol to this almost maple syrupy kind of consistency, and that's where all the alcohol's gone. It's just straight cannabinoids, and that is so powerful. I've had 10 milliliter syringes that are almost 5,000 milligrams. You know, so you can really dose the things that you want to dose, especially for people that don't want to eat a whole brownie or a whole cookie or something. You can dose a little capsule with 500 milligrams, and it's very effective. It's also very intoxicating. So,
I was gonna say, high-minded collective edibles will also treat you very well.
You're going to the moon.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you
yeah.
are. Trust me.
that's another thing I've tried to do with edibles, because a lot of people have said, I don't get high from edibles. I don't get, I'm
That's
like, no,
what I-
you
that's what
let
I
me
said to
give you
you.
an edible, all right?
That's exactly what I said to you, and you brought me it was the Funfetti.
The cake cup.
The Funfetti cake cup, and
Yes.
you infuse that, and then he puts regular frosting on top, which is
Yes.
genius
Because,
because
yeah,
you
you-
kind of help mix the two together.
Exactly.
And I ate that whole. Oh my god!
Smash.
It's
Oh
hard not to
my
eat the
gosh,
whole
yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
because I
It
try
was
to
so good.
I try to tell people to try half and see how you feel, because it's strong. I usually dose them 300, 400, 500 milligrams depending on the dose. I usually tell everyone try half, see how you feel. I don't, because some people are they have a higher tolerance when it comes to edibles, because it's a totally different feeling. Your liver is breaking down as opposed to your lungs. So your liver is converting that THC molecule into what's called hydroxy, which is 4 times stronger than THC. That's why you have such a different feeling from edibles. It's very
Same thing
odd.
with that THC infused juice.
Exactly.
That'll sneak up on you.
Exactly.
Damn quick
Yeah.
too.
And that's also Everclear extraction. That's tincture. Yeah. So yeah, that's Trap Aid, right? Yeah, they do a great job.
Oh my god, are you kidding me? At our grand opening, I was carrying around Trap Aid
I
pouches,
know.
and I had like 4 of them, and it was fantastic because I was able to handle the craziness and just be like, "This is awesome." And you had infused fondue,
Yes,
at the
yes.
grand reopening, and then I made you do it at the first carnival because I was like, "This is incredible."
So I got that idea from thinking about the carnival. I was thinking, I have all these packs of chocolate, because that's my normal thing. I do the cookies and cream chocolates. Everyone loves those. But I was thinking, what if these melt? What happened? What do I do then? And I was thinking, wait, I could do like a chocolate fountain. But then again, I didn't want any bugs or anything getting in a chocolate fountain outside.
Yeah, and then
It'd
we
be
had
more
to-
of an indoor thing. But then the fondue idea came to me, and I was like, okay, I could do a little fondue, the chocolate, infuse it with coconut oil, and then have fresh fruit for everybody. Dunk it right in, and it was awesome. It was a hit. It was a real hit for
was
sure.
amazing.
Even after the carnival, we have the pot left, and we're like, all right, we're taking this home. Like right after dinner for
you
dessert.
made a story the next day, I
Yeah.
think, where you were watching like Family Guy eating it,
Yes.
and I was like, I wish I was at JJ's.
Oh my. See, I didn't know exactly, because I don't eat too many edibles. But we tried the fondue after, and I ate probably like 8 or 9 pieces because it's so good, and you don't taste the cannabis at all. And after about 8 pieces, I'm sitting there and I'm like, ooh, I wake up the next morning, I'm still kind of out of it.
Rob's brother doesn't smoke, which is
Oh my God, I'm so happy you brought this
funny.
up.
He doesn't smoke. He's just the sweetest
He's so funny.
22-year-old
I love Joey.
kid. He really is.
He's the
But
greatest.
he ate some of that chocolate fondue at the grand reopening, and he kept going back, same thing, because he thought it was so good. He had to count the cash drawer at the end of the night, and he goes, I counted it like 4 times. He goes, then I just gave up, and I said, I'll
Then I
count it
just gave
tomorrow.
up.
He's smacked. He's like, I need to be horizontal.
Oh my
Which
God.
is just so funny. But in same thing, he was like, he literally does not smoke. So
I know. I was
paranoid.
So surprised.
He was having such a relaxed time.
Great
He
time.
was just enjoying it. It was that's the thing. It doesn't, it was an amazing time, and that stuff was incredible.
I'm glad he liked it, because that was actually another infusion with the Buddha breath. So that's really, really good for anxiety and kind of just, being around crowds. It's really good because typically when you smoke, you get kind of like paranoid and you don't want to be around everybody. But with that strain, I've noticed I get very vocal, and I just love being around people. It's almost it's hard to explain with that strain, because it kind of just takes all of your pain, all the symptoms you're having away. So you're just kind of sitting there and you're like, wow, like it's all gone now, and I can just be me. Exactly.
Which explains a lot, because Joey definitely would have been paranoid.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was surprised he wasn't, because he ate a lot of pieces. He ate about 6 or 7. He kept coming back for more, and I'm like, Joey.
Joey.
Even Rob's dad was like, what are you doing? And smacked him upside the head.
I licked that plate clean. I'm not lying. I literally took my finger and licked that chocolate.
That's another thing that I got to think about doing, is I might just start pouring the fondue into little cups for people, because I've noticed people are like scraping the plates, and I'm like, all right, I got to figure out a better way to do this, So
the first carnival was when Vandy's debuted, and literally the morning that we were getting ready and doing our first pack out in our checklist, we had like some extra runoff and stuff from our gummies, which was like really infused. We had some distillate left over. Like let's just make a juice and give it away for free.
Yeah.
And it flew, and it was a really good way to it was a good way to get rid of some of our product. It was a good way to say, hey, free cannabis, free juice. It was sanitary, so people weren't, because we had thought about putting it in a
like a tap.
Yeah.
A tap. Okay.
So yeah. Long story short, souffle cups or stuff like that for free samples. Really good at drawing attention to the booth. It's really clean.
And then people can try it out and then see.
Make
if
sure you got a
want
big
it.
Garbage can, because
exactly.
you'll be
Oh yeah, we have to have big garbage cans with the fondue. We have so many plates coming in there constantly.
Yeah, we'll have way more garbage cans next year.
Yeah.
That thing got a little intense.
It did. It started just turning it, but it was nice because people were good about keeping the garbage in one spot at the carnival.
You want to know what was crazy? Vendors left more of a mess than guests did.
Really?
Some vendors left more of a mess than guests did. But granted, garbage cans were full to the brim.
Yeah.
I mean, there was like nothing we could do.
Exactly.
And I ordered like 25 of those, and Rob was like, I think that might be too many. And I'm like, haha, what do you think now?
Yeah. Double that.
Are you kidding me? We're going to do like 70. I'm literally going to place them like every 2 feet. Garbage.
Yeah. Exactly.
So the carnival's coming up December 18th.
Yes.
You're going to be there.
I will be there.
What can we expect to see at the booth?
Ooh, that's a loaded question there. So definitely going to do that fondue again.
Yeah.
That will be at probably every event that I go to. Obviously, lots of organic flour. That's a staple for us. I think we're going to be doing gummies as well, RSO infused gummies.
Nice.
We're also going to be doing RSO and coconut oil infused chocolates, either or. And I'm thinking about doing. You mentioned candy canes.
I did.
I might do that, or we might just do Christmas cookies.
We said gingerbread cookies.
Yeah.
Remember? Yeah, we did say gingerbread cookies.
Yep, me and Shy are working on.
I'll buy you a pot leaf Christmas cutout.
That would be
cutout.
So we were thinking about getting cookie cutouts as well. Like little snowmen and stuff like that. So we're gonna do something like that. Definitely something special for all the patients and the whole community.
Yeah.
The first one was such an amazing show. Like I've said to a lot of people, I've been to so many High Times Cups, and that was the closest it gets. It doesn't get much better than that. That was a dream come true, especially being in New York. My hometown. Like that was amazing to see, especially working out of Michigan since 2017, 2016, seeing all these High Times Cups. And High Times is supposed to be one of the biggest names for these events, and you guys really showed out 100%. 100%. It was a dream come true.
And you go to a lot of these events.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Saying that means a lot. I mean, you went to one like 2 weeks before ours in Denver, didn't you?
Yeah, I went to the Hash Bash it was in
Boston?
No, that was in Michigan as well. The Hash Bash is up in I want to say Clio. Yes.
Yeah.
That one's in Clio as well. But that one, it's been around for almost 15 years or so, I want to say. And they do that in a hotel. So it's really cool how they set that whole thing up.
Cool.
Yeah, they set it all up in the ballroom. I don't know how they got these hotels to agree to let 200 people smoke in there.
Well, someone suggested to us, someone go to the Hyatt downtown, and I was like, smoking. I'm like, they never fucking.
You'd be
never let you
surprised.
smoke, and they'd go all to the hotel rooms, wouldn't it?
So they do it in the ballroom and all throughout the hotel. Like the business offices are filled with tables. And there's just everyone smoking
Like the
everywhere.
boardrooms.
The
Like,
board,
yeah.
You can go in the lobby and there's tables. Like it's an insane scene. If you ever get the chance to go, Hash Bash, go for sure.
You want to know how they probably get away with it? Because they probably fucking sell out the entire hotel.
Oh, they do.
They probably sell
buy
out the
every
entire
room.
hotel,
So-
and the hotel's like,
Exactly.
yeah, go for
Why
it. If you're all
not?
going to be stoners staying here anyways, what do we care?
Smart, yeah.
Yep, they buy every single room in the hotel and then they sell those as the tickets.
We actually have a hotel here that's giving discounts to people going to the Winter Carnival.
Really?
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's Staybridge Suites.
Oh, Staybridge is nice. That's over across from U of R, right?
Yep, Staybridge Suites. So I'll post it on the Instagram page, and we'll make a link on the Cannabis Carnival or Cannabis Cum Laude website
Yeah,
and
we'll put 'em
everything
in the
too.
notes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So if you're coming from out of town for the carnival, they'll give you a discounted rate.
Yeah, and if you're another hotel owner or somebody with an Airbnb,
Yeah.
let us know if you're cannabis friendly and want to do the same thing for discounts because people will show up and people will buy
Yeah.
your
Oh
freaking
yeah,
medicine.
definitely.
It's so nice for people coming, far out and then they can just sleep there and then come right to the event.
Well, exactly, yeah. And if it's close enough, they get a Uber, or they walk, and then they don't have to worry about the
Don't
parking.
have to worry about driving
Yep.
either, which
Yep.
is nice.
There is plenty of parking lots too, but they're going to be like $5 paid parking. So, but hey,
Okay.
at least there's parking. So where do you kind of see high-minded going in the future? Where do you want?
So that's a good question. My whole original plan was to kind of start a dispensary here or kind of just a storefront to give people the opportunity to educate themselves on clean quality cannabis. And that was my whole dream, was to kind of bring me and all my friends that were really passionate about growing into this whole scene. But it takes a lot of time, it's a little difficult to get started, but once we get going, I'm sure once the laws start going in our favor in New York, which they kind of have lately, but like I said, it's definitely going to take some time.
Well, Steve and I know a good lawyer. We can hook you up.
Yes, we do.
that would
The
She
be-
will
best.
help you out with that one.
that would be great, but I'm definitely looking to expanding like the flavor list and stuff like that. I've been working with a lot of different breeders. I am actually doing a couple testing strains for Umami Seed Co. They're really big. I think they're out in Oregon or California.
That's really cool.
But they do some amazing stuff with all different kinds of strains from out west, which are really, really making big names for themselves out here. Everybody wants runts, gelato crosses.
Runts? What's that?
Yeah, exactly. What's that?
I haven't heard of that
We're-
one
so,
yet.
yeah, we're kind of trying to steer it not towards the the hype, but more towards the medical aspect. We want to find strains that cater to people's needs, that people can use on a daily basis, and they're not searching for something new all the time. They're like, okay, this one works for me. I'm going to stick with that one. Maybe I'll switch it up if I get a suggestion from High Minded or from another party. But I just want people to have the medicine that they
Know
that they
works.
need and they know works exactly.
Just like a medication you prescribed by a doctor. You're on this
Exactly.
specific one. Use this one because we know it works, and that's
Exactly.
what happened with your strains.
So that's really what I'm trying to expand on. So me and my good friend Carl, actually, he's helped me out through a lot of this. He actually helped me pick one of my top phenos of the Buddha Breath, and I was so impressed with it and everything. I was like, I got to name this after you, buddy. We called it Carl's Breath, and it was so different from the other strains. The other Buddha Breaths were more gassy and stuff like that. This one that he handpicked, we didn't even smell the buds yet, and it literally smelled like a blueberry pie and tasted like it too. So I was like, all right, this isn't even Buddha Breath at this point. I have to name it something else. And what was nice is a lot of breeders, they get mad if you rename their stuff or they don't like that. Thug Pug was all for it. He loved the whole idea behind it. And he's a great guy out in Michigan. He bred peanut butter breath.
Oh wow!
And all like a lot of those really really popular breath strains. He did that out in Michigan.
Well, I remember Rob had actually told me about the story, and I was like asking. I was like, "Oh, Carl's breath." I was like, "Does Carl have bad breath?" Why would he name it that? I'm like, "Poor
Stank,
Carl."
yeah.
I'm like, "That's such a mean name." And he explained. I'm like, "Oh, that's actually really sweet."
No, yeah, it was based off the Puda breath, which isn't the best name in the world, but I'm not the breeder.
There are some pretty crazy names out there.
There are crazier names for sure. But yes, I definitely want to expand on that, and been trying to get some more scale strains in the garden because not only is the flavor so nice, the reason I like it so much, the medical effects are amazing. It really helps just as much as say the Puda breath or the other ones. But then again, the yield is the problem. So we're basically working to find crossbreeds of it that we can work with that will give us a better yield, better production, an easier growth. Because if you ever seen Skittles grow, it grows like a mutant plant. It's all over the place. And the nodes stack right on top of each other and it knots up and then it'll stretch and then it'll not. It's a pain. Let's just say that. But all in all, once it's done, it's worth it for sure. But finding a crossbreed that has the benefits of a nice growth with those terpenes is what we're kind of looking for in the future. So we're going to be doing some testing with different breeders and stuff like that. And even just trying out different strains that all these people are coming out with, like even Minnesota Dabs.
Mm-hmm.
I met him back in 2018 at the High Times Cup, and his stuff was, primo. It was there's no other way to explain it other than it tastes like plums.
Yeah.
I always tell that to everyone who's going to grab the seeds. I'm like, it is top notch. It's a very easy grow, and that's another thing. I love strains that you can just kind of let them go, set them and forget them. And you could do a little low stress training here and there, but they typically grow short and stocky and they have nice yields, which is awesome. That's what a lot of people should be looking for. You don't want these big towering plants all the time,
Right.
It's nice to have, it's cool to see, but if you want to actually fill your room and everything and actually get quality, stuff, it doesn't have to be, 10 feet tall. It doesn't have to be 10 feet wide. You can get quality just by growing it how it is.
Well, I think when we start looking at licenses and, I would say probably 80% of people who get a license will probably get a small craft business license or some small tier 1 cultivation license because not everybody's got resources or even wants to grow that big. But when you have, a limited amount of space and you start looking at, being able to use LEDs and you find these short bushy plants, all of a sudden you can start doing this vertical, Pip Horticulture has some really cool stuff. There's a lot of these, vertical growing techniques that you can use where all of a sudden your, 30 plant room turns into a 60 plant room and it's in the same footprint. So they're shorter, bushier plants and in a combination of LEDs where you can really run them quite close allows a lot of these smaller operators to start competing with a lot of the big operators.
And the LEDs are huge, honestly. Right when I started really getting into it, that's when the LEDs were really hitting the market. Definitely more so than the HPS. I've worked on a few grows that had HPS, and they're good. They're great lights. They're tried and true. They work, but they get very hot. And you got to watch out for light burn.
Annoying.
Yeah.
They're annoying.
Gotta replace the
Thank
bulbs.
God for LEDs.
LEDs are 10 times better. You'll get a better quality, better full spectrum lighting overall, and you can get the plants so much closer. Especially with these new bar spacing LEDs.
Yeah.
There's 12 inches from the light without any burn, and sometimes even more than that. I've seen people get 6 inches without any burn.
That photon tech one.
Exactly.
You can get damn close.
You can probably get a couple inches within it without actually burning.
Yeah, so someone with low ceilings,
Exactly.
it really helps.
And that's most people, honestly. Most people are dealing with lower ceilings, especially
Basements.
craft growers.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's why I
Walk-in
love.
I mean, closets.
Yes. So that's why I'm like, I love the LEDs, and I do like how they've been coming out with these strains that aren't growing 10 feet tall. You know, for example, IB Grown, very good friend, love him to death. He helped hunt his IB Grown Oreos cut with max yields, and typically the Oreos will grow 6 feet tall. It stretches very, very long, and he found a pheno that grows 3 to 4 feet, which was amazing. You could fill a whole room and not have to worry about your height. When I got the cut back in 2019, I was amazed by it. I filled my room and I put them into flower, and I was like, wow, they're not stretching like the Puda, because I had Pudas on one side, Oreos on the other, and the Pudas are they're stretching up to my head all the way up, and then you look at the Oreos and they're about right here, but they're stacking like crazy, And I got just about as good of a yield on the Oreos as I did the Puda breath. So you don't need these huge plants. But then again, all strains are different. You're gonna have those, especially some of the terpier ones stretch. For example, Skittles. That's another one that will always stretch on you. But it's all about finding what you like and what works for you in the end, for sure. But it's really cool to see all the different varieties. Especially now, there's so many different strains coming out constantly. Every day there's a new one, which is not a bad thing. It's really cool to see the different strains and different medical effects from these strains coming to the scene.
It's kind of funny. We'll get like old time growers in, and they'll be looking at the seeds, or they'll be asking about just strains that are going on in the industry and stuff like that. And it's it's always this crossed with this. This cross, they're like they're like there's nothing, just
everything's
straight.
a hybrid
I was like,
now.
hell no. I'm like, where have you been?
So those old strains are hard to come by now because they're almost bred out. Like for example, I get asked a lot about Bruce Banner. That one, it's very hard to come by. It's just not around. It's not the easiest plant to grow, and there's just a lot better strains out there. Not to say better, but easier strains to grow that a lot more people like. And that's kind of why those older strains have been bred out almost. Like original Bubba, you don't see that anymore. Even Sour Diesel, you don't really see anymore. Original OG Kush. Like all these old strains have kind of been bred out, or you'll find like crossbreeds of them. Like, Terphogs, they have the OZ Kush. That's like the closest thing that I can get to actual OG Kush, like these days. But I've been trying to find breeders that I've kind of been backtracking and looking for those older strains and kind of crossing them with newer ones to get that benefit of each. You want the good traits from each plant to show in that breeding process for sure. And it's really, really cool to see what everyone's doing, especially. Michigan has been really, really putting out.
I feel like Michigan.
They don't get enough credit, honestly. Cali gets most of the credit. And a lot of these crazy strains like Oreos, a lot of people don't know that was bred in Michigan.
Really?
Same with peanut butter breath and a lot of these big GMO. That was bred in Michigan as well.
My favorite.
Yeah, exactly. That's a lot of people's favorite. It's one of my favorites for medical use. And overall, symptom relief. That one is crucial. It's almost a staple in the medical community for sure, for like the cannabis medical community.
Poor Michigan.
I know. They're great. They're great people out there. I love everybody in Michigan.
Is that where you go? Is that where when you're talking about a lot of people going back and hunting for strains? Is a lot of it in Michigan?
Yes. So a lot of the breeders that I've worked with over the years in Michigan for sure. As I said, Thug Pug Genetics, big one. He did the peanut butter breath. He did his stud Mendo Breath F2. He crosses with all these different strains, and it's really, really good. He does a great job, and his stuff is very sought after. I've seen some of his packs resell for like $1,000. It's crazy, And then Max Yields, who did the Oreos, and he also bred Pure Michigan, which is the Mendo Breath F2 stud from Thug Pug that he crossed with the Oreos. So it's crazy to see that like even Cali is adapting these strains. I've seen peanut butter breath. I've seen Oreos in Cali. I've seen people selling I've seen people with the Oreos even at the Carnival and stuff and it says like the Cali and everything, and I'm like, wow, it's making its way all the way out there. Backpack Boys have done it. They're a big company out in Cali. There's so many people that have been using Michigan strains. I feel like that they don't get enough credit for sure.
I'm going to tell you something on there so you don't get mad at me in person. I like Oreos better than Skittles.
Hey, that's fine. A lot. So you like more of those Skittles. Doughy strains. Yeah. You like more of that cookie kind of vibe.
I do.
See, I normally don't like fruity. I typically will lean more towards cookie. Like Thin Mint Girl Scout is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
But when I tried Skittles for the first time, it was like trying weed for the first time almost. I was at the 2017 Hash Bash actually with my brother EJ, and we're walking around and we bump into Phantom. This was the first time we met him, and he was telling us all about how he did the organic and everything, and I was really interested in that. And I smelled all of his other flowers. I was like, wow, this is like really, really good. And we ended up not getting anything because it was just so fast paced. We're in a ballroom in a hotel. There's so much to look at.
Well, and it's probably 2017.
Exactly.
So you're thinking this is a little weird. Let's go
like
through
the
this
wild,
pretty
wild
quick.
West. Oh yeah. But anyways, my brother ended up grabbing a gram of the Skittles. And I didn't know. We didn't know what it was. We just saw Skittles. We've heard about it from California and everything. So we get back to New York and everything, and we're hanging out, and he goes, hey, roll this up. So I roll it up. I'm breaking it up, and I'm smelling it. And I'm like, whoa, this is different. I've never smelled anything like this. So I'm like, I'm very, very interested. So we roll it up. We're passing it around, and we're all looking at each other like, is anybody else like tasting this? And I don't want to give the joint away. Like, I'm tasting it, and I'm like, this is completely different than anything. It's not even close to anything I've tried. And my brother's trying it, and he's like, holy shit, like, what the hell is this? And come to find out, it's the original cut of Skittles. And a lot of people get mixed up because these seed banks will just put Skittles on seed packs, and they think they're growing real Skittles. That real Skittles strain is expensive. It's not only expensive, it's almost impossible to find. And when you do find it, typically cuts for that will go around 10 grand. So it's, no one wants to pay that. Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
You can run one plant in a 3x3 tent and just
man.
So just to give you some background on the strain,
Scary drive home.
Yeah, so Third Gen Family Farms and Terp Hogs actually, they grew on the mountains in I want to say SoCal. It was either SoCal or North Cal. And they grew on the mountains. There was one gas station on the way up, and they would drive all the way there, and they'd stop at the gas station to smoke with the guy who owned it, just because it was like, a rundown old gas station.
One of those weird ones in the desert.
Exactly.
You're like, I'm going to die here.
So, yeah. In the middle of nowhere.
I want to stop here.
Definitely. I'll just run out of gas in another 2 miles.
Yeah.
So they would always, exchange strains and stuff like that. And one day they were coming up to the mountain, and the guy that owned the place, his name's Gas Station Bob, they called him. And so he gave them a clone, and he goes, hey, I want to see what you guys think of it, let me know. And they ended up growing it. That was the Skittles. They didn't breed it. So no one knows what the strain actually is. All they know is it's grapefruit, grape ape, and some other undisclosed strain that they have no idea what it is.
Why don't they go ask Bob? Where is Bob?
I don't think he knows either, honestly. So they ended up growing the strain on the mountain. They grew a shitload of it, and they brought it to the 2013 Emerald Cup out in California, and they won 19 out of 21 awards. Yeah, with the Skittle strain. So that just goes to show how rare and how amazing this strain actually is.
What is going on with Bob? Did he get a cut of this money? Does he have a normal gas station now? Like, what?
He's got
honestly, I'm thinking he's just one of those older heads that doesn't really need that recognition. He just has love for the plant and wants to grow it, which I have huge respect for. I love people like that aren't really in it for the money.
Yeah.
They just want other people to experience good quality cannabis, for sure.
That's funny. Gas Station Bob. Jeez, I couldn't have gotten
it's
any
a
better
cool,
than that.
It's a cool story.
Wow.
It's a very cool story.
That is incredible. That's unbelievable that no one's dug to try to find what it is. I feel like you could kind of go back.
I mean, there's
Bob's
so many strains.
He doesn't know where he's gotten it from. Maybe.
It could have been an accidental cross, you know.
Maybe,
there's so many different things that can happen. But it's so cool that this plant has gotten so much recognition, you know. And it's kind of got some bad blood behind it because the guys who did it, they split up now. Terpogs and Third Gen Family, they're not together anymore. So, like, when they see other people with the strain, they get real finicky. It's kind of got some bad blood behind it. But, you know, at the end of the day, there's always going to be bad blood in the cannabis community. Like, between someone, there's always some drama. But
it's happening now in our little
flourishing
industry.
Everyone knows how it is, 100%.
It's there's a big line drawn, I feel like, in our community right now. So
for sure.
You know, it's sort of everyone just works through it, but
yeah. What I'd like to see more is I like to see more cooperation with different companies. You know, that was my whole idea with High Minded Collective. Is I wanted to bring like-minded individuals together to create something bigger than ourselves. I wanted to bring like my buddy Jameson and a bunch of other people with me and just kind of knock it out of the park. I really wanted to base my company off of, I don't know if you guys have heard of 710 Labs.
I have heard.
Yeah.
Shout out 710 Labs.
I saw your post your story the other day.
They are one of the best companies out there. You can try that. That's a live resin pod from them. I normally don't smoke live resin, but when it comes from a company like that, I know it's clean.
You will love this one company who is also at the Carnival, and they're our premier sponsor. They do RSO, and they're in New Jersey.
That's awesome.
They're in the Bronx.
Okay.
They're called Canamoji edibles.
I definitely have to check them out.
Doing the same thing. They're a husband and wife, but they're so sweet, and their whole goal there is just bringing the community together, and all they want to do is show the medical aspect of this
amazing
plant. And they do RSO as well, which is why we were so hyped about it. And same thing. I mean, that's all we want to do with the Carnival, and I think that's why we're all here, is to just bring the community together.
Exactly. And spread awareness to, you know, what this plant can actually do.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just a weed.
No.
You know, it almost irks me when people call it a weed, you know, and they're like, it'll grow, it's a weed, you know. It's not a weed. Like, it's kind of hard to grow.
Anybody thinks they can do it. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. And every strain
anyone can do it if you put the work in. You know, if you want, you know, top shelf quality like you see on Instagram and in these shops and stuff, you really have to put, you know, you have to put that TLC into the plant 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes to show, like, when you see a grower actually put that extra care in it, like, for example, P. Murph Globs, he killed it his last one. He asked me for help in the beginning stages. I kind of showed him what to do to start him off organically. I started him on the general organics, just a nice, simple, bottle-fed, easy step by step, exactly. And I taught him how to do some compost teas later on, and he did the plums and bananas from Minnesota Dabs and absolutely killed it. I was so impressed with his work.
Well, one thing I think you really have to do with this industry is always be willing to learn, because there's constantly new information coming out, constantly new ways to do everything. Tea is blowing up right now. Like 4 years ago, everyone was like, tea, you know.
Yeah, the compost tea.
And compost tea is like, it's constant nowadays. Yeah. You know what I mean? People making their own and everything. And it's just, you have to constantly be willing to learn.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I've loved how it's kind of had a shift the past, I want to say, year and a half. Because even working at the hydro store, I've noticed more and more people are coming in asking about organics, which, you know, is like music to my ears. You know, whenever someone's like, I'm looking into organics, I'm like, you are speaking my language. Like, perfect.
I need this.
What?
I need like 12 of these.
I know. Oh my God. That's the cherry grape cream, right?
God, yeah.
Yeah. They do great on everything that they do. It's really, really amazing. I love their whole, like, they're really great people as well. Like, for example, they gave me 2 free grams and 2 free eighths for my birthday, and I don't even know them like that.
What?
Yeah, like I
so
posted
sweet.
on my Instagram on my last birthday. I was like, all right, pulling all this stuff out of my stash, and they messaged me. They go, when is your birthday? And I'm like, it's a little bit of an odd question, but. And I told them, and they were like, okay, go to whichever dispensary has anything available. You get 2 grams, 2/8. And I was like, that's almost too nice. You know, I feel bad, but that just goes to show you who they are. They're a really, really nice company. And it really, really goes to show what they're willing to do for their customers and the patients that they work with.
Well, that's the companies you need to find.
Exactly.
The ones willing to lend a hand, or like you, the ones willing to learn somebody's, medical issues and find the right strain for them. You need,
Exactly.
Not just going and buying.
And that's another reason why
anything.
I wanted to base my company off of theirs, because their whole like business model is amazing to me. They're larger scale, but they still keep everything organic, and everything's so proper. They're down to their packaging. Like it's amazing what they do, and it's really top tier with everything. They do hash, they do live rosin, then they also do the flower, and they do batters, the pods. They do it all. They just came out with these strain-specific gummies, and they're not. So there's not really too many additives in it, but they actually taste exactly like the strain that's listed on the box.
Really?
So for example, we had orange cream and I think it was Stardog Pie gummies, and they literally tasted like you were taking a dab. Like
Seriously?
good, like
a
good.
good way.
Yeah, like in a good way. It's kind of hard to explain because when you think you're eating a dab and you think bad, but no, it's like you just ate and smoked a dab and you're blowing it out. Like there's no other way to explain. I've never had a gummy taste like that, and I honestly want to figure out how they did that because it's incredible. I ate the orange cream one, and you'd think, all right, it's just going to taste like an orange gummy. Like, no, it actually tastes like their orange cream rosin.
Wow.
Well, maybe they don't put a flavoring in it.
No, it's not a flavoring.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Maybe they use like a plain. You know how you have like cherry yogurt and you have like plain yogurt? Maybe they use like a plain gelatin almost.
Right,
and
I'm guessing.
Only flavoring
Flavor it with the actual cultivar.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
That's
yeah.
and I don't cook. I have no idea what I'm talking about.
I mean, honestly, that's a better idea. That's a better idea than I had, honestly.
What were you thinking?
I mean, honestly, I figured that they would probably extract the terpenes, do cannabis-derived terpenes, and maybe add those to the gummies.
You're probably completely right.
That's probably what they do, but I'm guessing they have to put a small amount of the hash in as well to kind of get that full spectrum as well, because just the terpenes isn't going to do anything for you.
What's the milligram of a gummy?
I think they were like 20 per gummy. So they weren't too intoxicating. You eat 1 or 2 and you're fine. But you eat the whole. I could definitely eat the whole pack. Yeah. But that I'm definitely trying to base my company off of that whole model set because they've went big. I was smoking their stuff back in 2015, and even since then, it's just been progressing and progressing. It started with just like jars of live resin. That's what they started out doing. And then it went to live rosin, and then they started doing their flour. And now they even do pre-rolls, and they use noodles as the filter instead of actual filters. They like raw, uncooked pasta.
Really?
The fuck?
Yeah. You haven't seen that on my Instagram?
No.
Okay,
why would I want to smoke a noodle?
So it's raw. It's supposed to be more eco-friendly. So, and it works very well. It holds up. So they do a rotoni.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they do mini rotonis. And they roll them up 1 gram.
Good idea, actually.
And they're hand rolled as well. Then they seal them with a Q-tip and water. They roll it up, and they do like 10 joints in a thing. Instead of the 1/4 ounce that they were going to give me for my birthday back in last year, they told I wanted this one specific strain. I wanted their Ghost Hulk, and they were like, we don't have it in the regular flour, but we have 10. They call them noodle doinks.
Okay, they say you should do it for your doinks.
Yeah, because I do the 3.5 doinks, the actual 3.5 gram joints that I hand roll myself. So I do kind of want to do something like that, but I don't want to copy everything they do. I have a lot of respect for them, but I definitely want to expand more on those larger rolls because a lot of people, they'll smoke backwoods instead because they think, hey, I could fit an eighth in here. I can't fit an eighth in a joint. when in reality, you can. It's just a little harder.
You just have to know how to roll.
You have to know how to roll. Rolling joints, I'll admit, it is not easy.
No.
Not in any way. But if you have the experience and the know-how, get it done for sure. It's the best way to smoke because, especially with element papers and anything like that, you get the full flavor of the cannabis. And I feel like a lot of people are missing out on that. Because you're spending, $40, $50, $60, $75 on an eighth these days. And you want to get that full flavor. I'd hate to see people just roll it up in a tobacco leaf.
I know
well, that's what bugs me about some reviews too. People are doing cannabis reviews and they're smoking it out of freaking backwoods and blunts and all this.
You can't really get the full flavor.
To be quite honest, if you're going to do a review, I feel like a bowl or
clean,
a bong is probably the best way. You actually get nothing is blocking.
Exactly.
Have you ever tried hemp wicks?
Yes, I use them actually for just about everything that I light.
Yeah, I mean, for you a lot of the flavor of, especially of good cannabis, gets masked by that butane. And a good clean bowl and a hemp wick is a game changer.
Oh my god! Even with a joint, lighting it with a hemp wick is
you were doing it
10
times. The other day.
I do it all the time.
So weird.
If I have a hemp wick, I'm gonna use it.
JJ fills his bongs and regs with bottled water.
Not even distilled.
Not even
distilled water
from the valley.
The reasoning behind that is because the glass that I usually have is expensive. So when you use bottled or tap water, there's a lot of minerals in there, and you can get hard water stains on in the inside of your glass. So I've actually had it happen a lot where, you get lazy. You're like, screw it, I'm just going to fill it up in the sink. But then after a while, you see these stains, even when you clean it brand new with alcohol, you see these stains still on the side. So we use this stuff called Elkinox. It's this powder, and it takes like 2 days to soak in there, but it takes all the water stains off eventually. But
he's had to defend himself to me quite a bit. So
he
has an answer now.
It's like hiking up, a mountain to get the brook water for his bong.
I can only smoke the best water.
The best.
Has to be blessed by a rabbi on a Saturday.
Holy water in the bong.
Yes. Well, that was awesome. We are coming up on the end of time. One thing that I wanted to say, it seems like you're really into the collaborative, collective model. There is a license that is designed for this type of model. It's the cooperative license, and it's going to essentially allow people to come in and start a business and have, say 5 people wanted to go in and get a 20,000 square foot warehouse, and you got 2 grow rooms and you got 2 grow rooms. It would be like a shared equity, shared business type of model, and it's designed for these collectives and cooperatives. So if that's the route that you're taking to maybe something that would be interested, I don't think they'll be super competitive and probably reasonably priced if that was ever the route you wanted to go.
100%.
Because it does sound like New York, New York State is looking at the cooperative model as something that could be very attractive, especially to folks who may not want to get in here and grow on a commercial scale. And maybe they just want to run a few 100 square foot grow room and, hey, rent this every month and boom, you got a room. So,
definitely. You, Peemer, JMO.
Oh, yeah. I'd love to get everybody together and just really knock it out of the park.
You get a grow room.
Yes.
You get a grow room.
That would be awesome.
I really hope New York State doesn't just lean towards the whole big canna, because that is just, it'd be a shame to knock all of these mom and pop shops and the small batches out of the even the contest.
I hate New York, and I think we're pretty stingy about some things. For some reason, I have a good feeling.
It's funny you say that. I do too.
Feeling that they're gonna support the small because they see things happening here. I don't know why. I'm always like, New York's gonna screw us. New York's gonna do this. I just feel like with this, they're gonna try their hardest to at least keep as much as they can here and start it here.
Well, I think they want to keep the people happy.
Yeah.
So they have to make sure that everybody in the community is happy, because if they just go straight towards big canna, like say MedMen or something like that, the community's going to be outraged. People are going to be very upset. But then again, it's not going to stop people from doing what they've already been doing for the past forever. Like there are people that are, real staples in this community that, aren't really known, but they have been providing all the other people with, clean quality cannabis and, helping out patients for decades. It's awesome to see the I really, really hope that those same people will have their shot, you know.
Yeah. I will say our current political situation in New York is very promising in terms of like it being a small business focus, because when Cuomo was in office, it was probably 2 or 3 years ago, you know, when in my Rock Normal days, when we were doing a lot of advocacy and a lot of political work, we would always look at like who's donating to these campaigns. And MedMen was the #1 donor to Cuomo's campaign. And he was very much, you know, we had to go through multiple revisions of the MRTA to make it less big cannabis and more craft focus.
Yes.
So I do feel, you know, Governor Hochul, she's a Buffalo gal. Crystal Peoples-Stokes, who is one of the lead co-sponsors of the bills from Buffalo, you know, where this is like a very rich agricultural region, a lot of agro-tourism, craft beer and wine. You know, I'm generally very politically pessimistic in terms of New York politics, as you should be. They will let you down.
You should be.
Let you down again.
All the time.
They'll build you up, and then they'll crush your dreams, and they'll do it over and over. But I do also feel the same way. But that's not to be said. There is going to be big cannabis here.
Yeah.
Without
for
a
sure.
question. Without a question.
And quite frankly, we are, in my opinion, going to need their infrastructure to be able to satisfy New York's demand. Because
100%.
There's a lot of us. There's a lot of people that use cannabis, and based on the numbers from other states, it's going to be really hard to satisfy the demand. So there is a need, and not, you know, we tend to villainize big cannabis. I think there's some positive things happening in that realm, but the industry is going to be built on craft businesses, on these small mom and pop shops, and you know, we need to make sure that licenses are available. There's not too many barriers of entry, that these smaller growers, even if, you know, you're in an old house or something like that, can grow, can make products, can go to market, and maybe even make a little bit of a living in the meantime.
That's the dream. Goal. That is the dream for sure.
Guess we'll wait and see.
Yep.
Hopefully we won't listen to this in a year from now and I'll punch each other in the face.
Yeah, it's just like MedMen
Why
franchises
did we do
everywhere.
that? Man, it's gonna be like, go back and listen to your episode on that date. Laugh.
It's actually funny, and before we sign off, there's a big lawsuit happening right now with the old MedMen founders, Adam Bierman, and the other co-founder, Adam Bierman, quite frankly, is a prick. And the new founders, they're like butting heads, and there's this big lawsuit. So hopefully it just crumbles them in the meantime.
So much time.
But yeah, thank you both, my lovely co-hosts. Thank you for another great episode.
Yes.
JJ from High Minded Collective, you're the man. Love what you're doing.
Thank you for having me on. It was a pleasure.
Where can people find you?
Instagram typically is where I'm most active, is on Instagram for sure.
Yeah. And you're going to start a backup account.
I'm going to start a backup account just in case they take me down.
And it's all one word, right?
High Minded Collective. Yep.
Awesome. Check them out. Great company, owned and operated by a great dude. Thank you for everything you've done. This has been another episode of Cannabis Cum Laude. Jackie and I here with JJ Christopher from High Minded Collective. Check it out. Don't forget, December 18th, the Winter Cannabis Carnival's coming up. Get your tickets, etix.com. It's at the Main Street Armory. Going to be a banger. That's all I got.
Yeah, they're going fast. Definitely grab them. You'll see JJ and all the goodies there. Get some of that fondue and hit them up in the meantime.
Definitely.
For all your medical needs.
Yeah, if you,
honestly,
I'm going to put this call to action out there. If you are a medical patient, or if you're looking for high quality product for medicinal purposes, whether it's flower, whether it's RO, whether it's anything, High Minded Collective, they have
organic.
our vote, all organic,
everything.
clean cannabis.
We got you covered.
For sure.
Thank you, JJ.
Thanks everybody.
For having me on.
We'll see you next week. Thanks to our friends here at Rockbox Recording and Production in Rochester, New York. They are a full professional podcast and video studio designed by a radio guy for podcasters. Audio, video, voiceovers, editing, whatever. Mouth off at Rockbox at rockbox.com.
You can follow Cannabis Cum Laude on LinkedIn and all other social media platforms, as well as Cannabis. And if you'd like to help support the show, search up Cannabis Cum Laude on Patreon. And of course, all of those links are in the show notes. Thanks for watching and listening.